What up guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be reacting to The Future is Anti-Abortion, Kirsten Hawkins, University of Texas. Let's get into it.
I hear a lot of pro-lifers say that life begins at conception. And I want to read you this poster that I have. And I have a couple other things to say. They're not necessarily questions, but I would like to hear what you do have to say about them. So my poster reads,
it's never a good sign when it starts like this. Like, you know, she's already on the attack, so it's not really like a conversation. It's more of, hey, I've already made a conclusion of your thoughts. But anyway.
life begins when you understand living women matter more than potential babies.
Whoa.
What is it?
What do you mean?
If it's a potential baby, what is inside of a woman?
It's a fetus?
Is it living?
No.
How can it grow if it's not living?
That's like saying, that's like saying, hold on guys.
Yeah, because trees are living. Trees grow because trees are living.
Hey, well, actually, that's like saying if an acorn is a tree. That's like saying an acorn is an oak tree. It has to develop. It has to develop into that oak tree.
So
the thing is, if I'm understanding what she's saying, what her point is, as we can read on the sign, life begins when you understand living women matter more than potential babies. And the acorn and the tree example that she's giving, she's simply stating that if an acorn is not a developed tree, hence we treat them differently, which is the same with a fetus, a baby that hasn't developed. Do you guys agree with this point or not? Because I do not.
It's called an analogy.
So when does the
Y'all like to
fetus
use analogies.
when does the fetus become living?
That's actually a good question, but that line.
Yeah, of course, because you don't know it, because it's living. It's living.
Okay.
You're fundamentally denying science to validate your opinion.
You actively deny science, ma'am.
How am I denying? What science did I deny, Darby?
Okay, so let's look at some posters over here. Hey, Maddie, can you raise your poster? Yes, I can. Hey,
But
you don't have to be here.
I need you to tell me what.
See, if this is a debate, she's already losing. Because for a debate, you cannot show up emotional. As you can see her actions, it's not logical. It's not let's have a logical conversation. It's let's have an emotional conversation. This is how we feel about abortion. We're going to come in here, we're going to make a ruckus. Because she's had almost like 4 minutes then. The only thing she said is one point, that's on her poster. She doesn't have facts, she doesn't have like information to push the conversation forward, which is something that sucks with such conversations where a lot of emotions are involved, you know?
You just made an accusation that I denied science. What science did I deny?
That it's a child inside of you. It is a clump of cells when
I'm a clump of cells. What makes me different?
That you were born. You were born.
So you don't. What you're arguing is that anything that is not born is not valuable of life.
I did not say that.
It's subjective. So when does a child or fetus or clump of cells, whatever you want to call it, when does this clump of cells or fetus become living?
When it can sustain
But,
its own life.
But when is that? When is the sustainability?
Yes.
No, when is sustainability?
It was at this moment that she knew.
Because how do you sustain life? Like my newborns aren't sustainable. You can't just have a newborn and they just like live on their own, right?
Right.
They're not sustainable. They need help and assistance to survive. So is a newborn
The point is, even themselves, they need help to be sustainable. So that invalidates their point. And then I feel sorry for Debbie because she's not just standing there and she's made a point that's not a point. Now she has to look at her friends to be like, support me. I'm here to validate points that are not my points.
Is a newborn not worthy of life? Is a newborn not worthy of life?
Okay. Would you like to come speak? Actually,
let her finish.
I do have one thing to say to you. How is it that when my mom was in college 30 years ago, she was protesting the exact same thing that me and these wonderful other women and men on this side have been protesting? How is it? Why? why are we still protesting? Why are we still having to talk about this issue? It is a basic human right.
To do what?
To have an abortion, to have a choice.
What's an abortion? What is an abortion? What is, define for me what abortion is. What is an abortion?
Taking a fetus out of a woman's body.
Is the fetus living?
No.
No.
We've been over that.
How can a fetus grow if it's not living? Explain to me the science of that. How is a fetus living how is it growing if it's not living?
Yes.
My pubes grow, but they're not living. Things grow. The
Because your
difference
pubic
I'm
hair
not done
is a
talking.
part of you.
I'm not done talking. You assigned value to your children, and that is the difference between your living children, the ones that you gave birth to. That is the difference between somebody who is holding a fetus in their body, a woman who is pregnant. If she does not want that baby, she has not assigned the same value to it that you have to your own children. Therefore, I'm not done talking. I am not done talking.
Yo, this is where you don't like fact by fact. I'm not done talking.
I said I'm not done talking.
Okay, you can keep yelling at me, but I'm just asking. Do you think that's a
You
slippery
can't cut
slope?
me off, lady. You can't
I'm
cut me off.
asking you a clarifying question, ma'am.
Am I talking to you?
I think you're getting into a slippery slope, though, because
I'm
what
not.
you're saying is assigning value.
All of your arguments are slippery slopes, my friend.
Another thing that I would like to point out that is pseudoscience, it's just wrong, is that you said heartbeats begin before 6 weeks. That is wrong. Those are electrical impulses because they don't have a fully formed heart yet.
Yes, their heart is not
Electrical
fully
impulses
formed.
are not the same as a heartbeat, honey. They're not. And you're wrong. I have a question. It's pseudoscience, and you
Do you
can't
have a
keep
question
spreading
for me?
lies.
Do
No,
you
I'm
have a
sitting here.
question?
You're spreading lies on my campus, and I'm not fucking okay with that in the slightest.
I'm more concerned.
I think the main problem, and I think they also answered their question, you know, when they're asking, oh, our parents back in the, 30 years ago were debating the same issue. I think it's still the same issue that one side of the group does believe a fetus is a living human being that's still in development. So you start being a baby from the day of conception to the day you die. And then for the other side, it's no, you only become a human once you leave your mother's womb, which is wrong. So this is why this debate goes on for a long time. You know, it will keep going on because I don't think there will ever be a time in which humans can agree. I think that the one part that you can say someone has a choice, if it was to be me, I don't know, but would say as a woman, go get your eggs removed. Then that way you have control. The other side cannot say anything. It's like choosing to be, you know, when you have a vasectomy or whatever it's called. That is a choice that, you know, that doesn't fall under abortion or stuff like that. That is your choice. But the moment that these two things come into contact together, then people have an issue with you because they're saying there's human life that's been created that you're taking away. So essentially allowing murder. So I think that's why these protests have to keep going because people cannot come to an agreement. People cannot come to an agreement. And for lawmakers, they're like, I'm not having, you know, like consciously having that on my conscience that I allowed a lot of, you know, fetuses to be removed and killed because they feel like that's a lot of babies being killed. And on the other side, it's like, I don't want to have this baby, so the baby should be removed, my body, my choice. So what do we do? I think that's the impasse that we're at. And these ladies, they're very emotional. They're not logical. They don't really have much facts to support what they're saying. Just screaming and shouting, which makes no sense.
That you just said that some people can assign value to other human beings and not. So what you just heard was a slippery slope argument. And that's actually very concerning. Because when some people get to say that some people have rights and other people don't have rights, that is
She's trying to get.
that is a slippery slope because that's exactly what we've seen time and time again throughout human history and throughout our American history. When we decided that some people have rights and some people don't, and it depends on you to give them value. That never ends very well.
You never answered my question about why we're still having to have this conversation.
Do you want me to answer the question?
I'd love to. I
The reason we're still having the question is because some people don't want to accept the natural consequences of heterosexual sex and be inconvenienced by another human life and want to selfishly choose to end human life in order to have their whims met. That is why you're still arguing.
So
That answers the question. Okay, so it's not that some, I think in this instance, she is making a point from her perspective. But I think that debate keeps going on because there's what she said, whereby, babies are a natural consequence of unprotected sex. However, on the other side is there's sometimes sex that's not really consensual or that's forced, when people do get, pregnant by other ways, which we cannot say on this platform, but in those instances, that is a valid question to be had. Like, if I had the baby through violent acts, can I keep it? I do not want to have that child and stuff like that. Those are conversations that I think should be had. I'm not pro-abortion, I'm not anything like that. I do believe in humanity, so it's a valid question, and it's a valid conversation to have. We cannot just dismiss it.
When I was
Disgustingly wrong.
So when I was raped, ooh, yeah, got real quiet, didn't it? When I was raped, and if I was impregnated, I would have to bear that child, because the government says so, because you want to take away my right to not bear that child. I don't want to have to bear the child of my rapist, who, hey, by the way, walks free on this campus.
Yeah.
And he raped me in high school. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's a real shocker. And please do not say, oh, I am sorry that you were raped. I am sorry that happened to you. But
Shut
why?
your mouth.
Why would I have to bear the child of my rapist?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, I would love to hear your opinion. Please.
Before you answer, may I just take a moment?
Do you want the microphone?
I would love the
ahead.
microphone. All right.
Yeah, I think that's the valid question. I can't wait to hear what her answer to this one is, because that is a slippery conversation, my friends, that I am not willing to partake in.
Before we continue, everybody take a moment and breathe. Okay? I felt the tension in the room go down just a notch by doing that. We are not here to yell at each other. We can't hear you if you're yelling. And the only way that this works well is if one person with a mic and the other person with a mic use the mics, and then if everyone else can listen, and if you have a question, you can come here and line up, and then you can contribute with your question or your comment. We have a lot of people here, and so after you are finished with your comment or your question, we'd appreciate it if you sit back down so that other people can also comment. Okay? Can we all agree on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
I could have used that announcement during my talk when I had to shout over people shouting at me.
Trying.
So I'm going to answer your question.
Yeah,
and
go
I guess
ahead.
you can sit down, and then there'll be another question.
Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
can-
That's fine.
I am sorry that you were a victim of sexual assault.
Didn't I
No,
just
excuse
say?
me.
Just say to not say that.
I am sorry that you were a victim of sexual assault and you've had to survive that.
I-
And I can't think of I can't think of anything more heinous to happen to another human being than sexual assault.
Answer the question.
But I would say that every human being has value, and that doesn't matter the circumstance of your conception. If I were raped and I chose not to have an abortion, I became pregnant because of the rape, if I was one of the 5% who became pregnant, if I chose not to have an
5% is
abortion,
two.
excuse me, if I chose not to have an abortion, would I be justified at 2 years old to kill my child?
Here they go.
Why is that an outrageous statement? Why? Because we acknowledge it's a living child, and even those who support abortion acknowledge it's a living child. That, my friends, is the crux of our argument in the pro-life movement. That a child before birth is the same as a child after birth. You didn't come from a fetus.
That's not reality.
You did not come from a clump of cells. You, in fact, once were a fetus. You once were whatever the name you want to subscribe to a
Stating
child
basic
in the
information
womb.
and then trying to
And
take
your
your own spin on
value,
it is not gonna work.
excuse me,
You
your
disgust
value in the
me.
womb is the same as your value outside of the womb. And in the pro-life movement, we believe that every human being has an equal right to life and is equally valuable. That the crimes of our parents, the crimes of our fathers, do not mean that we do not have value or that justifies the ending of our human life. I think as a pro-life movement and as human beings in general, when it comes to sexual assault, we should be willing to go as far as we can to support victims and survivors of sexual assault. But my support ends when you ask me to end the life of a human being. Just like how if you asked me to end the life of your rapist, I couldn't do that either.
Can I ask you a new question?
Okay.